Hi guys, today I'm showing you how I made this dough that I found off of some person that posted it on Instagram. It's a very easy dough. So to start off, I added 3 cups of all-purpose flour, and then I added 1 teaspoon of salt, and then half a teaspoon of yeast. This is dry active yeast. I give it all a stir once I add all the dry ingredients to make sure it's all incorporated well, and then I added 1.5 cups of warm water. You want to make sure that your water is not too hot because it will kill your yeast. So I add a little bit at a time, give it a quick mix, and then once I see that it does in fact need more water, I added the rest. So this recipe actually says that you don't need to knead it. It's a very easy dough recipe. I wanted to knead it because that's how dough develops gluten, and I like sourdough bread and it has a little bit of a chew to it. So I was trying to create that sourdough texture even though it wasn't gonna have the flavor. So here I was folding it really quick. That's what you do when you make sourdough bread. And as you can see, it was still breaking apart. It wasn't very stretchy, but when you let it rest, the gluten actually, you give it a chance to develop. I believe that's how it works. I don't know all the science behind it, but I think it's pretty cool. I didn't know that that's how gluten works. So I just set it aside and I wait an hour, and then in an hour I got a bowl of water. I wet my hands because it is sticky, and I pull it up and just start folding and then rotating the bowl. I don't know what I was saying. So you could see, if you compare it to the last clip, the dough is a little bit stretchier here. And again, the more you stretch it, the more that gluten is going to develop. And if you overstretch it, it could give your bread a little bit of a rubbery texture, apparently. That's what I read. So I was being careful not to overstretch it. So here it's about 3 hours of letting the dough rest. You can see it doubled in size and how stretchy it is. I love when it gets to this point because it just shows you that everything is working, the yeast is alive, the gluten is developing, and it just makes me so happy because sometimes I feel like I'm not doing things right. But once I see it get to this stage, I'm like, okay, so far things are going well. In this next clip, it's now been about 8 hours. Every time you let your dough rest, you want to make sure you cover it with plastic wrap. But here it's been about 8 hours. I'm getting my basket ready to let it do its final rise. So I cover it very well with flour. If you don't have one of these bowls, you could use any bowl with a cloth and it'll be fine. Just always remember to cover it with plastic wrap or a damp towel so your dough doesn't dry out. So I wet my hands, which made no sense because I was about to dry flour or touch flour. So I don't know why I did that, but now I'm just structuring the dough. I'm tucking in the ends, I'm folding it over itself. I'm just trying to get the dough to firm up. And this really helps shape your dough, and when you put it in the Dutch oven, it helps it hold its shape. That's what I've heard. So I'm just trying to do my best. There's a lot of videos on how to do this part. I'm still learning. I'm not an expert, but so far it's worked out in the ways that I've done it. If there's any air bubbles in the surface, I just pop them because I've seen other people do that. When you put it in your basket, you want to put the smooth side down, and then you're just going to do what they call stitching. You're just going to pinch all those loose ends together, and again, this is going to help in your dough being shaped and structured well. I'm I'm finishing up shaping it here. I give it a nice little tap for no reason at all, and then I cover it with plastic wrap, and now I'm going to let it rest for the remainder. I let it rest on my counter for about 8 hours, so I think there was about an hour left. So here I'm getting my parchment paper ready. I'm cutting the edges because I always feel like they're gonna catch on fire. I don't know if you need to do this, but I like to do it because it freaks me out. Unfortunately, I pressed record right when I put my dough in the oven. I thought I was recording, so I didn't actually get it when I scored the dough or when I dropped it into the Dutch oven. But you want to set your oven at 450 degrees and bake it in the Dutch oven with the lid on for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you're going to open up your oven. You see me do it here. I actually managed to get this on video. You take the lid off, close your oven, and you're going to bake for another 15 minutes or until it's golden like this. I am so happy with the way this bread turned out. It tastes amazing, and it was such an easy recipe to follow. I hope you guys give it a try. In this next video, I want you to listen to that crunch. I actually don't have a knife to cut my bread, so I just use a steak knife, and eventually I'll get a bread knife, but this is what I'm using now. I want you to look at how steamy. You're supposed to let it cool down more, but I'm impatient. But look at how beautiful the inside looks. It's nice and steamy, and I was so excited to try it. I'm butchering the bread here with my steak knife. I really wish I had the right knife to cut this with because it just looks awful when trying to cut it. To taste it, I just added a little bit of sweet cream butter and then sprinkled it with some salt, because if you haven't tried bread with a little bit of butter and salt, it is amazing. So I finally got to give it a taste, and guys, this recipe is so easy, and it really did taste great. I hope you guys give it a try. I hope you like this video and that I haven't scared you away by my unprofessionalism in cooking and baking. But this just to show you that if you're not a professional, you can still bake, you can still cook, and in the end, it'll all work out. Usually, but we all learn by trying, right? Well guys, thank you so much for watching another video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you soon. Bye.